Hello YouTube, welcome back. It's 2021 and I'm here with something very special that I've been waiting a long time for. I missed out on these on the first run because financially it just didn't work out at the time, and regardless of the hardships, I made sure that I got one of these this time. So it is the most expensive train that I have ever purchased. So let's take a look and see what it is. Brass hybrid, BLI. It probably comes in backwards, but it's C&O 490, which I had the privilege about a year ago actually of seeing one of these in person. Actually, the only one of these in person that still exists, down at the museum in Maryland. And from that point forward, I definitely wanted to pick up one of these. So we're going to unbox it here and take our time and go through it and take a look at everything that it does. Going to have a lot of rolling shots here. Probably going to be a long video, but want to soak this one in and enjoy it a little bit. All right, so we're going to take a look through here and see what we got. Let's look through some of the paperwork here. See sort of the design inside the tender. Oh, this is kind of cool. So a little bit of history about the engine. It's pretty neat. Oh, got a little schematic there. Very cool. They don't usually include this sort of material with the trains. I wish they did. I love seeing the history of them. And your basic owner's manual. Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for there. Looks beautiful just even in the box. Checking to see if there's no missed pieces here. We've got our smoke funnel. We have a little tool to take off the side rods, some spare traction tires. This looks like an assembly to put in a front coupler. And this has the standard packaging that BLI seems to be going with now, where they have the whole train's kind of pre-assembled as opposed to having the two pieces separated in a kind of almost more like a little square box, which from a storage standpoint I did like that a little better, but it is nice to not have to hook up that stupid little tether every single time. Alright. Just checking here to make sure there's no little tiny missing pieces, because that is definitely a problem from time to time. And you want to catch that right away. Just for now, put it off there and get this box out of the way. Alright. We got a little piece of foam in between here. I'm gonna lose that here. So there we are. Alright, so we're gonna take a look at it kind of at a 360-degree view here in just a second. Okay, so this is really what we're wanting to see, which is this thing up close and nice and detailed. I am curious as to whether these little markers light up or not. We'll see. One little detail that I do know that is off as opposed to the actual one that's in the museum as you see it now is that the side rods are not really like a chrome color like they appear to be here. They're more of a kind of closer to a flat aluminum color similar to the streamlining. Not quite the kind of grayish color that the wheels are, which is accurate. That color down here, very, very close to what you see on the present day version. It's got a nice coal load there. Nice rivet detail up top there. And it's got the little treaded walkways here. Sunshades. Another little detail here is it has these curtains, which are not fabric, they're plastic, they're molded on there. Got a little cab figure guy there. We'll take a look at the rear end of it here. And we'll flip it around and take a look at the other side here. So we'll get in a little bit more here on the back end detail. One thing I do want to let you know to be mindful of is this little pipe that's here. It does appear to be metal, but I could see where if you're handling this, that might be something that's easy to break off of there. So just be careful that that is there. Just the color of this thing. I mean, video really does not do it justice. Gonna take one last look up here at the front. When I was at the museum, this is kind of the angle that you'd walk in and see it at. And I'm gonna go ahead and play that clip here that I took of this engine when I was actually at the museum. And you can go through and compare the details there and see what's what. So I'm getting it out, ready to start running it here, and one thing that I was immediately noticing upon kind of backing up on the track a little bit here is that the tread plate is really close. And the issue that you get to when you go around a corner is it's actually hitting on the tender. And I think after a prolonged period of time, that's going to rub away paint there. And I'm on pretty big radius here. I mean, this loop is 28, and it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of clearance there. I feel like it would maybe work a little bit better if you could simply take this piece off, or maybe have an option for another spacing where you can have a little more room between the tender and the locomotive, and there does not appear to be that when I'm looking underneath it. Just taking another look here at the bottom of it, you can see what we're working with here as far as detail. And if you had to take it apart, you can. There's a connector here that you can pull out, and below that there is a plastic connector here that just kind of pulls out. Very similar device to the big boy that they have. Kind of hard to see here. You can, now, very hard to see it there. But there's only one space on it, so there's really not an option to bring these closer or move them further apart. And the tender would appear to be relatively easy to take apart. Just 4 screws. That bottom plate to pop out there, because these do accept the Go Pack, just as the box states here, which is Broadway's Keep Alive capacitor, which, you know, I may put one in here just to put it in here and make sure this thing's fully souped up. Alright, let's run this thing. So we're going to hit F9 to do the extended startup. You can also just hit throttle up a little bit, move it into notch 1, and everything kind of starts up, but we'll do the long sequence. There we go, we got our headlight there. So we'll hit the bell. Nice and clear. I don't know what these are supposed to sound like, so I have no idea whether that's accurate or not. Gonna have to probably do some research into these and see if I can find some audio clips of what these would have sounded like. We'll also take a look a little bit later at what some of the alternate whistles that are on this as well. And we can hit our smoke with F7. That's shooting out pretty good. Usually the Broadway Limiteds don't do too well at idle, but this one seems to be pretty good. So let's move it forward at speed step 1. I've done 0 CV programming on this. And you'll notice there's a little cab light there that turns on whenever you're not in motion. We'll back it up a little bit here. That's kind of fast for speed step 1. I'm going to shut off the smoke for now. Let's see what we're working with as far as actual slow speed here. And again, this is right out of the box. .4. Kind of fast. So let's see what it can do as far as some real speed. I'm going to mute the sound there for a second. And I have not run this beyond what you see in this video yet, so it's by no means broken in. I have heard some reports of these kind of surging at kind of medium speeds. We'll see whether this one exhibits that problem or not. So I'm kind of just gently winding it up here. I'm at speed step 88 of 128. We're up to 52 miles an hour. Prototypically, I believe these could run 100 miles an hour. There was a nice old gentleman that actually works at the museum that was nice enough to show me a lot of technical little things that they have in some binders, photos, blueprints, that sort of thing down at the museum. And I'm pretty sure they did mention these can run 100 miles an hour. It's a passenger engine, so most of those can. We're up to 58 miles an hour. Still gently winding it up here. I would be happy with about 75 to 80 miles an hour scale speed. We're up to 77. Still got about 10 more speed steps to go here. Alright, we're maxed out. Pedal to the metal. 96 miles an hour. We'll give it another lap here, but that's pretty good. And there may be a little more in it with some CV tuning. 95. .96 again. I'm going to make sure that CV5 is programmed to 255. So it should be running everything. One thing I am noticing here at lower speeds, I worked with the CVs a little bit. It does seem to top out right around 95 miles an hour. I set the mid speed for about 47 miles an hour. That way I have a nice even speed curve. I didn't really seem to notice too much mid speed surging at all. It is a little bit noisy at lower speed here, and it seems like CV2 to a value of 2 seems to be the minimum that it seems relatively happy running with. And there is quite a bit of hum, and it's running that 2.3 miles an hour or so. Just a touch faster than I would like it to be, but it doesn't really seem to like running any slower than that, or it doesn't run at all. Curious if it has that much humming with the volume on. If it's there, you really can't notice it with the sound on. Alright, we're going to take a look at the alternate whistles that came with this, which is CV224. 0 is the default. I'm going to change it to a value of 1. See what that sounds like. That would sound great on a big boy. See, change it to a value of 2. It sounds exactly like the Pensy whistle that's on my Streamline K4. So I will change it back to 0. And from what I understand, if you have Digitrax, NCE, ESU, you are supposed to be able to quill the horn. We'll give that a try now. Not bad. Alright, so how does it pull? It has a relatively good weight. It has traction tires on it, so I would think that it should be pretty good. I don't have the proper passenger cars for this. I don't really have the money to get those because I spent a lot of money on the engine, but eventually someday I hope to get them. But for now I have 8 Pennsylvania cars on it. Well, I know it's a sacrilege, I'm sorry. But just for testing purposes, we'll see how it does here. This is not the easiest load for any engine. I've certainly had some others that do struggle with these. So we'll see how it does here. Guess it's a lot easier when you're only pulling one car. Let's try that again. Now, naturally, with some cars on, the speed is going to be a little more limited. We'll see just how limited. I don't have it wound up all the way just yet. Oh, wrong lane. Generally, anything over about 80 miles an hour with a full load on is pretty impressive. We're at 72 miles an hour. Alright, now we're up to full throttle. We'll see where it comes in at. So in the last test there, it did top out around 72, 73 miles an hour, which losing about 20 miles an hour or more with cars hooked up as opposed to not having cars hooked up is generally not the hallmark of a very good pulling engine. This would do fine, I think, with probably, you know, your typical 7 or 8 passenger car load. Probably you're going to have some problems if you're trying to hook up like 14, 16, 18 passenger cars on this. I don't think it's going to be able to do it. You know, you may want to double head these if you're going to do that. Typically these didn't run with a diesel backup on there, so for probably keeping it realistic, you want to stick to a shorter train on this one. You know, it's not a big boy or a Challenger. It's not going to have that kind of pulling power. You know, in terms of an engine that's a 464, this is definitely in the upper echelon of that. But it is on the heavy side. So just wrapping it up here, a few closing thoughts with it. So prior to Broadway offering this in the HO market anyway, the only way that you could get this engine would be from Precision Scale, and it would be upwards of $1,200, and you would probably need at least 6 to 12 months probably on eBay to have one pop up and actually be able to win it. So this coming out at roughly half that price. Most of these were priced for about $650 online, which it is on the pricey side, and generally the brass hybrids are going to be a little bit more than some of the other die-cast Broadway engines. You know, that being said, you know, this engine I would probably rather have than the Precision Scale version, because this is going to have a better motor in it. It's going to have DCC, it's going to have sound. It's going to have LED lights, which a lot of the brass models do not have. The sounds, while they're kind of the same thing that's in every other Broadway engine, it's better than not having them. And, you know, if it really, really bothers you, you can put in something else. It's not impossible. Being that this engine costs as much as it does and probably having a little more collectability than the average engine, I probably won't mess with this one beyond just putting the Keep Alive in there, or the Go Pack as Broadway Limited calls it. I don't really feel that it needs much else. I am a little bit disappointed that the number boards don't light up. That would have been a really nice detail to throw in there. And it's something that they've done on lower cost engines, like the Pennsylvania K4 had that. So I'm really not sure why they didn't do that on this model. I guess, you know, maybe it was a little bit hard to route all that in there. Would have been a nice touch. But this engine, by and large, is going to be all about the look. This is an engine that, just having it parked, standing still, looks absolutely beautiful. If you have a display case that you keep your locomotives in, this is definitely one that you want on that shelf. It just looks incredible. You know, not the most fun engine to run as far as some of the features and running characteristics and the sounds, but it is definitely an eye catcher. There's never been another steam engine that has these colors on it. That's part of what makes it appealing. It's an unusual design. You know, this part right here kind of looks like a big mohawk there. There's nothing else that looks like it, and that's just part of the beauty of it. So I love it. I'm really happy with it. I'm glad that I have it. As of the making of this video, which is early January 2021, you can find these out there. There was some difficulty in finding someone that would pre-order them because a lot of people were saying that they were initially out of stock, or distributors were out of stock. But these are out there, and you know, there probably won't be another run of these in the future, just because this was an extremely limited run as it was. If I had a little more money, I would love to pick up one of the other versions that has the orange as opposed to the yellow, which was the earlier versions of these. I think they look incredible too. But one of these is enough. There's probably a lot of other things I would rather spend with that extra additional money. So really happy with it. And if this is an engine that you want, you need to act now. Because if you don't, it's going to be back to the way it was before, where people were scalping these on eBay, and you know, they're going to be selling for a lot more than what they are right now. So that's about it for this one. There'll be some more things coming here soon. This is kind of the first big one of this year, and it was a surprise that they announced these at all, and I'm really happy they did, and I'm really happy that I got one this time. So hope you enjoyed, and hope it was informative for you, and stay well.